freedom is not free.
Tonight we gather to honor those who fought to preserve the freedoms and liberties upon which our nation was founded. We honor those who have served as well as those who have fallen. In particular, the Medal of Honor recipients in attendance. We honor their service by telling their stories.
On December 21st, 1861, the U.S. Senate passed a bill to authorize 200 medals to be bestowed upon those who shall distinguish themselves through their gallantry in action. President Lincoln signed the bill, and the Medal of Honor was born.
The Medal of Honor is the highest award for valor in action against an enemy force, which can be bestowed upon an individual serving in the armed services of the United States.
The deed performed must have been one of personal bravery, so conspicuous as to clearly distinguish the individual above his other comrades, or must have involved risk of life.
The deed must be proven by incontestable evidence of at least 2 eyewitnesses.
Today, there have been 3,525 Medals of Honor awarded.
There have been 33 Asian American Medal of Honor recipients.
There have been 88 African American Medal of Honor recipients.
There have been 32 Native American Medal of Honor recipients.
There have been 61 Hispanic American Medal of Honor recipients.
There has been 1 woman awarded the Medal of Honor.
Today, there are 71 living recipients of the Medal of Honor, and 13 of them are here with us tonight.
Courage,
Sacrifice.
patriotism,
Citizenship.
Integrity.
Commitment.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
Lieutenant Thomas Norris, Navy, Vietnam, 1972. Lieutenant Norris led an unprecedented ground rescue of 2 downed pilots deep within heavily controlled enemy territory. He led a 5-man rescue party for one of the downed pilots and returned to base. Later, he and 1 Vietnamese traveled, located the pilot, covered him in vegetation, and successfully evaded a North Vietnamese patrol. When returning to base, they came under heavy enemy fire. Lieutenant Norris called in an airstrike, which provided suppression fire and a smoke screen, allowing for the rescue parties to successfully return to base.
Staff Sergeant Drew D. Dix, Army, Vietnam, 1968. Dix distinguished himself by exceptional heroism while serving as a unit advisor. 2 heavily armed Viet Cong battalions attacked the province capital of Chau Phu, resulting in the complete breakdown and fragmentation of the defenses of the city. Learning that a nurse was trapped in a house near the center of the city, Dix organized a relief force, successfully rescued the nurse, and voluntarily led another force to rescue 8 civilian employees.
courage,
Sacrifice. Patriotism.
Citizenship.
Integrity.
Commitment.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
Hospital Corpsman 3rd Class, Robert R. Ingram, Navy, Vietnam, 1966. While Ingram accompanied his platoon, the village tree line suddenly exploded with an intense hail of fire. Disregarding the present danger, Ingram crawled under the crossfire to reach a downed Marine. As he administered aid, a bullet wound punctured the palm of his hand. Calls for corpsmen echoed across the ridge. He answered the call of his comrades, collecting ammunition from the dead and administering aid to the wounded. For hours, Ingram pushed and doctored his Marines. Ignoring the probability of his own death, Ingram saved many lives that day.
Commanding Officer Robert J. Mojioski, Marine Corps, Vietnam, 1966. Commanding Officer Mojioski was wounded in an enemy counterattack. Although being under enemy fire, and despite his painful wounds, he crawled 200 meters to provide critically needed ammunition to an exposed element of his command. He also directed artillery fire within a few meters of his position and courageously inspired the efforts of his company in repelling the North Vietnamese once and a second time on July 18th.
Courage.
Sacrifice.
Patriotism.
Citizenship.
Integrity.
Commitment.
Above and beyond the call of duty. Staff Sergeant Melvin Morris, Army, Vietnam, 1969. Staff Sergeant Morris learned through radio communications that a team commander's body had been killed near an enemy bunker. He immediately reorganized his men into an effective assault posture before splitting off with 2 men to recover the team commander's body. When returning to base, after assisting 2 wounded men, he charged head-on into enemy fire to recover the team commander's body and return it to base.
Hospital Corpsman, 2nd Class, Donald E. Ballard. Navy, Vietnam, 1968. Following Hospital Corpsman 2nd Class Ballard's return from treating heat exhaustion, he and his company were ambushed in South Vietnam. As he rushed through the torrent of enemy fire and directed his comrades to deliver a wounded soldier to safety, an enemy cast a grenade in their direction. Ballard fearlessly threw himself upon the explosives to protect his comrades. When it failed to detonate, he rose and resolutely continued treatment for other Marine casualties.
Sergeant Gary B. Bykirk, Army, Vietnam, 1970. Sergeant Bykirk, Medical Aidman, Detachment B-24, Company B, distinguished himself during the defense of Camp Dak Sayong, where he sustained multiple injuries while searching for and rescuing injured soldiers. Sergeant Bykirk moved unhesitantly through enemy fire to his fallen comrades, applied first aid to their wounds, and helped assist them to the medical aid station over and over again.
Courage.
Sacrifice.
Patriotism.
Citizenship.
Integrity.
Commitment.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
Sergeant First Class Gary L. Luttrell, Army, Vietnam, 1970. Luttrell was serving as a light weapons infantry advisor with the 23rd Battalion 2nd Ranger Group in Kon Tum Province. The battalion was under intense mortar attack. All advisors except Luttrell were killed. Unrelentingly, over 4 days, Luttrell kept the battalion inspired while he directed air and artillery support, cared for the wounded, distributed ammunition, and shouted encouragement to the Vietnamese in their own language.
Major Patrick H. Brady, Army, Vietnam, 1968. Major Brady volunteered to go into enemy territory and save American soldiers who were trapped. It took him 4 trips, but he was able to save them all. Throughout the course of the day, he used 3 helicopters to save 51 American soldiers who were wounded and would have perished without immediate help.
Staff Sergeant David G. Balavia, Army, Iraq, 2004. While clearing a house, a squad from Staff Sergeant Balavia's platoon became trapped under intense enemy fire from within the building. Staff Sergeant Balavia engaged the enemy, allowing his team to escape. Because of the walls surrounding the house that prevented fire directly at the enemy position, Staff Sergeant Balavia re-entered the building. After fighting his way through enemies on multiple floors, Staff Sergeant Balavia had cleared the entire house, securing the safety of his platoon from an imminent threat.
Courage.
Sacrifice.
Patriotism.
Citizenship.
Integrity.
Commitment.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
Sergeant Robert M. Patterson, Army, Vietnam, 1968. Sergeant Patterson observed that his comrades were being fired on from a 3rd enemy bunker. With complete disregard for his safety, he assaulted and destroyed the position. Although being exposed to small arm and grenade fire, he continued his assault. His dauntless courage and heroism inspired his platoon to resume the attack and penetrate the enemy defensive position.
Private First Class James C. McLuhan, Army, Vietnam, 1969. While helping two frightened soldiers make a quick escape, Private First Class McLuhan was wounded by metal shards that sunk into his body from head to toe. On that same day, after patching everyone up, he refused to be transported for treatment with other wounded soldiers, although he himself bore the weight of injuries. With the sense that he should fight to the end, McLuhan pushed through the pain to not only save more soldiers, but also get them back into battle.
Sergeant Sammy L. Davis, Army, Vietnam, 1967. Disregarding his extensive injuries and his inability to swim, he struck out into the river with an air mattress to save 3 wounded comrades. When he got there, he stood and he fired into the dense vegetation to stop the Viet Cong from advancing. Then, when the most wounded soldier made it back to the base, he stayed with the other 2 until they also made it safely back. Then he joined another howitzer crew and fired at the Viet Cong until they fled.
Courage,
Sacrifice,
Patriotism.
Citizenship,
Integrity.
Commitment.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
Command Sergeant Major Benny G. Adkins, Army, Vietnam, 1966. Sergeant First Class Adkins distinguished himself through acts of gallantry beyond the call of duty while serving as an intelligence sergeant during combat operations against an armed enemy at Camp A Shau, Republic of Vietnam. During this 38-hour-long battle and 48 hours of escape and evasion, Adkins fought and sustained 18 different wounds.
First Lieutenant Walter J. Marm, Jr., Army, Vietnam, 1965. As a platoon leader in the 1st Cavalry Division, Marm led his company through the valley to relieve a friendly unit from surrounding enemy forces. He moved quickly under heavy fire, incapacitating 4 enemies on his way to destroy a concealed machine gun with an anti-tank weapon. He charged across open ground, hurling grenades at the enemy. Despite suffering severe injuries, Marm, armed with only a rifle, eliminated what remained of the enemy. His actions saved lives, broke the enemy assault, and rallied his unit to accomplish the mission. Courage,
sacrifice,
Patriotism.
citizenship,
Integrity.
Commitment.
Above and beyond the call of duty.
my name is Christopher Song, and you fought for me.
My name is Terelia Ingram, and you fought for me.
My name is Riley Turner, and you fought for me.
My name is Kevin Swingle, and you fought for me.
My name is Matthew Foster, and you fought for me.
My name is Thaddeus Giberson, and you fought for me.
My name is Christina Lamb, and you fought for me.
My name is Regina Zepeda, and you fought for me.
How can I remember your sacrifice?
How do I ensure your legacy lives on?
How will I take advantage of the opportunities you gave me?
How do I live my life in respect of your bravery?
How can I embody courage in my everyday life?
How can I show my gratitude for all you've done?
How can I implement the values you demonstrated into my own life?
How do I show love to those around me?
A long time ago, I asked those same questions. I was lucky enough that I heard a story that led me to a real answer, an answer that's still with me today. Once there was a boy who lived in a small town during World War II. His name was Papaderis. He came from a very poor family. And one day he was walking along the road and he came across a broken mirror from a German motorcycle. Well, he reached down and he picked up the biggest piece and he kept it. He put it in his pocket to keep it safe. A little later, he took it out of his pocket and he began to play with it like it was a toy. He was fascinated by the fact that he could reflect light into dark places, into deep holes, crevices, dark closets. He made it into a game, trying to reflect the light into the most obscure places that he could find. Later, during the war, he was put into a German concentration camp. But somehow, he kept that little piece of mirror with him. As he went through the process of growing up, occasionally he would bring it out of his pocket and renew the game. At the end of the war, he was liberated from the concentration camp. And he still had that little piece of mirror with him. So as he grew and he became an adult, he realized that the mirror was more than just a game. It was a metaphor for what he could do with his life. He came to the understanding that he was not the light. He was not the source of the light. But the light is there, and it will shine in dark places only if we reflect it. He decided to spend his life reflecting peace, integrity, and compassion to the world, so much so that he returned to his home and founded and created an institute dedicated to peace, forgiveness, and reconciliation. You too can be the light. You too can reflect the light of your life into the world to make it a better place. What will you reflect?
Peril, to preserve the friends, families, and ideals that we hold most dear.
I will reflect the sacrifice you showed when you left home and family to preserve my rights and liberties.
I will reflect your patriotism by keeping our country's ideals in mind and never compromising on those values.
I will reflect the citizenship you guaranteed to me by appreciating those rights and liberties. I will make the most of my opportunities and serve those less fortunate than myself.
I will reflect the integrity you demonstrated by living a life of truth.
I will reflect the commitment you showed by promising to uphold the ideals of the Medal of Honor.
We are all just fragments of a mirror. Nevertheless, we can reflect the light into the dark places, into the hearts of men.
And perhaps others will see and do likewise. This is what we can do.
This is how I can change the world.
This can be who I am.
We
will reflect the light.
I am tomorrow's teacher, and I would teach your stories to the younger generations. Not only what you did, but why you did it, so they will never forget your sacrifice.
I am tomorrow's doctor, and I will do everything in my power to ensure a better quality of life for my patients, through my care and service.
I am tomorrow's politician, and I will be a true patriot pursuing policies and laws that will serve the citizens of our country and protect our Constitution.
I am tomorrow's engineer, and I will introduce innovations to carry us into a brighter future.
I am tomorrow's counselor, and I will guide those students in dark places to find the light in their own life.
I am tomorrow's scientist, and I will research solutions to the world's leading issues to make life better for all.
I am tomorrow's storyteller,
Writer,
actor,
Director,
who will tell your story with honesty so that no one will ever forget.
I am tomorrow's first responders,
Policeman,
Fireman,
Paramedic.
and I will act without hesitation and with courage to protect those in harm's way.
We are tomorrow's.
Mom.
Dad.
Coach.
Pastor.
Volunteer.
Neighbor.
Friend.
We believe there is no place in American life for hatred, violence, racism, discrimination, or oppression. We will stand for
Racial equality.
Women's reproductive rights.
Incarceration reforms.
Responsible gun control.
political integrity,
Equal rights for everyone.
Preservation of the Bill of Rights.
Acceptance and inclusion.
we will strive to live lives true to the values attributed to the Medal of Honor.
My name is Jake Watson, and next fall I plan to attend the United States Air Force Academy. I am tomorrow's service member, and I will bear arms when necessary to continue to protect the freedoms you guaranteed for me, my friends, and my family. Gary Luttrell shared with us that recipients of the Medal of Honor do not wear it for themselves, but for those who have served and are serving.
Your stories have inspired us.
Your heroic deeds have influenced our futures.
We hope to use your stories to impact the lives of others.
The white rose is a symbol of honor and reverence. Tonight, we hold the white rose in honor of your sacrifice and to signify our commitment to live lives true to the values reflected in the Medal of Honor.
Afraid to look them in the eye. Am I good or am I bad? Am I happy, am I sad? Who am I? Am I strong or am I weak? Do I think before I speak? Is it truth I seek or do I live a lie? When there's no one else around, would I help someone who's down, way down? Who am I? Here we go. Who am I? Who am I? It's a question where the answer can help us change our life. Who am I?
Who am I? That's 3 words I think that you're all going to remember as you leave here tonight, and we certainly hope you do. On behalf of the tribute to Valor, Phil Vandal, outstanding once again, and these are students from the Grapevine Colleyville Independent School District as they saluted all of our Medal of Honor recipients here tonight. Come on, give it up for them. What do you say?